Hello together.
Hello together. Welcome to episode number 11. And the topic today is
street lighting.
Street lighting.
Very large theme, so we will just take a short look on it. We want to talk a little bit about standards, a little bit. Majorly, we will show a feature we have implemented a good half a year ago, but I guess
RELUX desktop.
On RELUX desktop, but not so many will realize this, and so we want to use this platform to show it to you.
Yeah, street lighting is a large topic, and we cannot tell you everything about it. So it will take a day by minimum to go deeper down into it. So we will hopefully give you an overview how to deal with streets, what you can do, what you should do in terms of lighting of streets. And yeah, in the next half an hour, we will talk about how to treat streets in terms of lighting. And we start this session with a look into the standards. There's one, so it's easy for streets. There's one European standard dealing with street lighting, and this is the EN 13201. So 13201. This is the major standard, the only standard for street lighting in Europe, and this standard consists out of 5 parts. So what kind of parts we have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Exactly, yeah.
It's a little bit difficult because in the part 1, it is not international, it's a national. So every country has its own version, and it defines how to select the luminance and illuminance classes for the street lighting. So it's a little bit better to explain. First, we should start with the part 2, because the part 2 defines the lighting classes for street lighting.
So how many luminance, how many illuminance, how many uniformity, how many clear levels. This is down to 2 levels in terms of classes. There are lighting classes. We know how to calculate to which values.
And then in part 1 it will define, and this is different by each country, for which street you should use which class.
Yeah, there's an European frame for the part 1. This is a technical report. So this is an CEN TR for technical report 13201-1. So there's a European part 1, but this is just a technical report. This is not really normative like a normal EN standard. And almost all European countries has in their own national part 1 how to come to these classes. So for example, in this standards, in the national standards, is written if the traffic goes by this velocity, if the street has this size, if there is a need of recognizing faces on the pedestrian lines, and so on and so on. So you have some kind of choosing matrix, and this choosing results in a lighting class out of part 2. This is different in all the countries, because you can say, okay, that the traffic is also a bit of difference in the single countries. But yeah, it also fuses many more. Maybe we have in the coming decades also a unified European part 1. So at least there's a draft for it, and in some countries that just simply this draft, this technical report, and then it's some kind of European. So and these are the most important parts. Part 2, that you know the values, and in part 1, how to define a class for my street project. Yeah.
In part 3, it is about how to calculate, how to make the planning. It defines the way where we set how to set the grid points. It is very detailed, which we, as a software developer, are very lucky with this, because in many cases we are reading the standards, and finally it gives us not the answers to all questions we need to realize the software, but they have really optimized this in the street lighting, so they are in very details. Also, they for example, they declares also how to rounding the value so that it's in a useful way. So this is missing in other standards, for example.
Yeah. So part 3 is really important for us. It's about calculation.
And one thing also to say about part 3 is it is not similar. It follows the same rules as the international, the CA 140.
Okay.
They have now updated. In the past, we have the basis was the CA 140 from the year 2000. But now they have made updates for the 30201 part 3. For example, for the calculation of the for the threshold increment for the TE value. But this is now also included in the international CA 140. So the results, if you are calculating according to CA 140 in the latest version, is the same as when you are calculating according to CA 13201 part 3.
Yeah. This is good. Yeah, I guess there are the same experts in both groups.
Maybe.
Yeah. Then we have part 4. Part 4 is about measurement. So how to measure. It's also maybe practical for a lighting designer to know how to measure or how a measurement on site take place. Also value information for the design if you know what happens in the evaluation on site. And then we have part 5, and part 5 is about an energy evaluation. So how to save as much as possible energy out of a street installation. There's also about switching on and off and change the class during the night, because also the class adapts in different situations.
Depending on the traffic flow,
for example. So if you remember in part 1, this is about traffic. So the traffic amount, the traffic speeds, tells you in which class you go, and if you say, okay, in the middle of the night there's no traffic or there's reduced speed, maybe you can switch also the speed maybe in different time slots, and then you can also reduce or change the class, and this also reflects in energy behavior. So this is part 5, and all these classes are currently in renovation, in review state. So all these 5 parts of the 13201 are currently in a new development. But what we have seen in the draft is that it's quite similar. So there's not a really big change into it. So small adaptations, which also looks quite promising to us. And it's just the first draft of it. So it's on the beginning on it. So you can assume by maybe next year that the complete 5 parts are new, available in the new state, but it's fully okay to take the old part, so it's not a really big change. But if it's out, we have to deal and to check if it's still in line with your designs or your future designs. Then the normal process of standards. One part we want to highlight or to tell you, it's about and specialty in streets in street lighting calculation. It's about illuminance. So in street lighting you have the single lightning standards where you want to have, or where you're forced to have an luminance value, not an illuminance values. The difference between luminance and illuminance is of course the reflection of the surface where the light is hit on. So, and normally we deal in sanitization with illumination levels, so lux values. And of course, lux values are easy to measure and easy to calculate. There's no interaction with the surface, but this means also you cannot see illumination. It's not possible to detect illumination directly with your eye. You need a reflection. You need a surface, some object which hits by illumination to see luminance. So in this standard here, we have luminance in it. And this, okay, you can see in street lighting, we have a fixed surface. This is the street. And it's not just one reflection degree you have on the street. This is dependent from the angle you're looking in, and that's why we have something like R tables. So reflection tables, not just one reflection degree. Depending on the angle and depending on some other facts, you have different reflections. So,
and as most of you, I guess most of you know this, it is a part of the planning for street lighting to select the correct R table and the correct Q0 value. The Q0 value describes the brightness of the street. The R table, the way how the reflection works. And this is typically depending on the material, how many stones are inside of the asphalt and such things.
Mm-hmm.
And but we also need to know, because many people or many users have problems to identify which kind of planning they need, because luminance is the main used criteria for roads which are used by motorized users.
The M classes.
And these are the M classes.
Mm-hmm.
And for the pedestrian classes, P classes for people,
parking, pedestrians, pedals.
Yeah. They are depending on illuminance values, and between these both we have the C classes, which are also illuminance.
Mm-hmm.
Illuminance classes, which are also used for motorized traffic, but in situation where we cannot use the luminance technology, for example, because of the distances. The R tables we are actually have available for using are useful for distances between approximately 60 meters to 120 meters. If the distance are shorter, in situation like on crossings or roundabouts, we should switch to the C classes and make the calculation, the planning with illuminance values. And so sometimes the users have here a little bit trouble to realize when to switch, or I have to calculate according M class, but it is not possible for that and that reason, so I have to use C classes. And the essential point is inside of the RELUX desktop that we can calculate the M classes only in the street module, where we are calculating with a simplified calculation model. Simplified calculation model means the roads are always straight. They are not, the luminaire distances are always equal between the luminaires. And typically we will make a kind of worst case planning with the largest dimension of the luminaire distance, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's also first you have to understand and to know, okay, I have a shorter distance below 60 meters, or I have a longer distance of 120 meters. This is depending of the angle of the viewer, because for an illuminance calculation you need to have a viewer, you have to have an observer to calculate this. This is also a difference between illuminance and luminance. And it's also important to understand that if you go to a C class, that you have to have a transmission from M to C. And there are in the national standards, in the German national standards, there is a table in part 1 where you find a translation from M to a C class, because you cannot just take the luminance values in kind of a square meter and say, okay, I'm now in the lux value with the same value. You need to have a transmission of this both. And what we have seen in the drafts of part number 2, in the current draft there is a table which helps a lighting designer to transfer an M class to a C class. C stands for collision, for crossing, collision, conflict zones. So if we have something special on the street, this is most possible not more than 60 meters. So a conflict zone is closer than 60 meters in normal situations, and that's why you need to have an C class. And maybe, hopefully, this table will consist till the publication of the new version.
We have this table was also existing in the old version of the standard, but now it was not so detailed. It don't takes care about the brightness of the surfaces. This is now much more detailed. It will also allow you to select the comparable classes from M to P. So also it will also be possible to have to find a comparable P class comparable to a M class, or a comparable P class to a comparable to a C class.
Yeah, I guess this is all what we can tell you about the standards.
And now we want to show you some issues in the RELUX desktop program.
Yeah.
Especially the feature I already told, that we have. One more, where's my mouse?
So now we switched on the screen. Now you see our computer here.
And okay. I guess most of you who have already worked with road lighting, but I will just from the beginning, for those who maybe see this the first time, you have the possibility when you're in the startup project, you will find the road module for the simplified calculation modeling model about road calculations with M classes, with luminance calculations here in this point. Also, you can sometimes you will use the exterior projects. We will show this you later, where you also have the possibility to make road calculations according the 3201 standard. And for the road lighting, you will see here on the right side, the roads are not drawable. You have only parameters to modify the scene, for example, the width of the road. Here we will have the R tables we have talking about, and you will find here the typical values which are available in typical road lighting calculation programs, not only in RELUX. Also, we have here some possibilities to make optimization, and I want to show you here a feature which I guess not everybody has realized this possibility. And I will select a luminaire from RELUX.net from a manufacturer who have realized a solution. For example, let's take this.
This manufacturer has put in variants of this optics, of this photometrics into the data of one product. So one product has more than one
you can
variant.
See here the switching with the optics. You will find the different LDCs and power levels, which we have. So in a moment, switch this away. And
this we're now going to import into the street model.
Yeah, I have to.
It's always the same.
It's always the same
WALT file.
So I drop it into my project. First, I have to select the lighting class for making update, and here you will see, as we told you before, the M classes, the C classes, P classes. Also, there are some additional classes for hemispherical illuminance, which is also used for pedestrians, and here are some additional classes,
cylindrical and
vertical, which are important for face
recognition,
and so on. But now, for my very fast example, I will use a M class, and now you will see we have only imported here one product, but this product includes variants with different optics, different power levels. And so for that, I can say the program here in the optimization. We have various possibilities to realize optimizations about distance, height, the tilt, the type. And here inside some more additionals, and I will now also activate that I want to optimize over variants and lamp sets, and also I want to make optimization with dimming. And I will now optimize about distance and type. Press optimize. This now will need a short moment to calculate all these variants. And now you will see that the program has now chosen the optics from all the available optics, the optics which is the best for this given situation, and optimize this also with the dimming here. Can also show it here. You will see now that for this situation, the power level of this 100 watt with this approximately 10,000 lumen, which are dimmed on a level of 93% for the best result in this situation. There are much more possibilities. And the next thing I want to show is this feature. This is not really new. This is just a little bit for those of you who didn't know, have no so much experience with the road lighting. But now I will show you something which is completely new. And we have implemented a possibility. In many situations, planners need to make not only one road, they need to handle many roads and want to have a good overview, a simple way to transfer the input inside of the RELUX and also have later an overview about many road situations. And therefore, we have now implemented an interface to Excel, and you have the possibility to use here a Excel table where in my example here is now defined 4 street situations with various luminance rows with a style position right, left, both. So these are the typical positionations which are also available in RELUX. Here we have defined various deltas.
Pole distances, tilts, overhangs.
Yeah. And here the definition of the road, the width of the road, the number of lanes, which are table, the Q0 value. Here we have the possibility when we want to work with a central reservation between 2 roadways. If you use fill in here values, you will get such a road, otherwise not. You have the possibility to add border areas on the left and on the right side. And now we have the possibility simply to go, doesn't matter, to use here, we have here the command open for the normal RELUX projects, and we have the command open from to select now here the possibility to select such this Excel table, and we will now get all the road scenes which are defined in this Excel table. I have also here in the possibility in this Excel table to make to define a folder where are lying Eulum.dat or IES or ROLF files in it, so that I can simply import also multiple luminaires in it. And my example, these are just a few to have a fast. It is just a few optics and luminaires inside of the out of this folder. And now we can simply make optimization about all the scenes in one step, and will then get good results in my sample. Not all streets have required, because I want to show you later the effect on the output. This didn't work because I have not enough luminaires inside of it. Also, in some situations we have the problem because it's not. We cannot realize this with this. For example, here in this one, we have only luminaires on the right side, and none of these selected products will work for all the border areas on all the sides. But the most interesting things what I want to show, I first have to close the Excel, because I have the possibility to export these results. And in the situation that I have imported from an Excel file, I have the possibility to export these results into my original import file. As an alternative, I can create a new file with these results. This is also possible if I don't have imported it. I have created my own project, and I only want to have this overview inside in Excel. But now in my example, I want to export now the results to Excel. And we will now find here at the end of the list, here the
the luminaries,
the luminaries, and the results here on the road, mainly on the road, and we have here for the left border areas and for the right border areas, but mostly here the results. And you will also see in that situations where the program we are not cannot fulfill the requirements, we will see them remarked as with road and green colors. Typically, you must not use this optimize tool. You have also the possibility to handle manually, to add additional luminaires inside of your RELUX project. So typically, you will just make the export when every situation works as you expected.
So this is a really nice tool if you have a couple of streets, or if you have a lot of information in Excel, or if you like Excel. So this is a fast way to bring results in Excel, or bring your streets arrangements into RELUX Desktop by just creating Excel sheets. So this is a really nice interface. Yeah, and you can directly use it and automate also a really bunch of luminaires, of a bunch of streets in an easy workflow. And the question, Klaus, where can I get this Excel form?
Yeah. That's a very interesting point. When you go to RELUX on our homepage, on relux.com, and sorry, I have forgot to switch
to English.
Let me switch to English, and we go to training, and there you will find the support, and simply search here
for Excel. This is our knowledge base. A lot of RELUX knowledge is stored here, and if you search for Excel, you find
here the Excel interface for roads, and there you will find a description about how to use this tool, and also you can here download the sample file you have seen from me on your computer. At the moment, the scheme of this Excel file, that means which column defines which parameter is fixed, but you are free, for example, to change the color, to change the size and the letters of your table by
but you have to keep the columns with the content. This is important in order to be understood by RELUX. So
okay, then as a last point, as we told you in the beginning, we have sometimes the problem that we cannot use this street module for street lighting. So sometimes we also want to realize realistic plannings. And for that, we have also the possibility here to use this in an exterior scene. This is an exterior scene with a DVG as a background for the planning. And here are now the luminaires placed as they are placed in reality. And for the measuring areas, you have also the possibilities to choose the profile. And this is when you're using evaluation areas and task areas, you will get the nominal values from the 12464 part 2, for example. You have also the possibility to use part 1, but to switch. But the idea is that for exterior scenes, it's more for the part 2. And for the normal measuring areas, you have the possibilities to select the lighting classes, which are defined in the 30201. And therefore, we have the possibility to select here various C classes, for example. And
it's also important to understand that you cannot go here in N classes in this situation.
Yes,
it's just usable in illumination values, because we have on this wiggling curved street situations not the option to go to ARP tables and M classes. And as we told, it's about up from 60 meters. So and in this DID situation of streets, you are close to almost automatically down to a C situation, and this is also implemented. So please use C classes if you're going to the CID approach.
C or P.
C or B, P, P or the others, not the N classes. And also a note from the side: it's also possible to use our geolocation feature. It's also possible to have as a background image just an address of a street, and then you get a Google Maps image directly as a background image in your RELUX desktop. Also a handy feature for these situations.
And here is also a feature when you make groups out of these measuring areas in an exterior scene, you will get in the result overview a special exterior summary where we will have documented the selected C classes or P classes and the results here in a kind of result overview, especially for road lighting. You will also see here in my example, I have here some parts of a road which have the same or different C classes, but also it includes here a special measuring surface. We have, when you go here to insert measuring objects, we have for roads and exterior lighting, various special measuring areas. This is one is the roundabout, the other one is the pedestrian. The general road is, it's just also a rectangular measuring surface. I will show it later, which is special on it. It is very helpful. You can also use this for in other situations, not only for roads. But here, just before I delete my calculation, I just want to show you also here for the pedestrian crossings, we have here special, that is not what I want to show. Moment. No.
Yeah. So there's an option to have pedestrians crossings in it. And yeah, we have two standards. So it's more for the German-speaking countries. We have there are two standards. One is in Switzerland standard and one is in German standard. And the standards.
So now, and then you will get a special table which is for pedestrian. I guess it's not so different in other countries. It's also, I guess, mostly they have. For vertical illuminances on the center across the road of the pedestrian surface.
Yeah. So pedestrian crossings have some specialty. You have an asymmetric light from two different directions, not to blind the traffic. But for the pedestrians, you have a higher illumination level on the crossing, and you need two asymmetric luminaires. And there are, we know, two German-speaking standards how much the verticals on a certain grid should be. And this also included if you have to deal with pedestrian crossings, you can also use RELUX. This is in a way an USP of RELUX to have these crossings. I'm not sure if there's a short word in English for pedestrian crossings. So in Germany, we call it zebra lane. Yeah. Okay, don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then just as a last thing, one point about this general road, which is really just, but it's very simple. It has one advance. You can, if I want to make here a rectangular measuring area on this road, which is not lying horizontal, I have now the possibility just to click along the street, enter the return, and then I just can. So in the other way, if I want to make this with this surface, I have to make more steps. I have first to change the size and then
to rotate.
Then I have to rotate. So this is in principle, is this the same work, but on this way it's much faster when you are working on catch drawings and those things. Okay. And then as a last, just to show you, here we have also here the possibility to make a special measuring surface for roundabouts. Okay, I think we must come, or I must come to an end.
One last thing we want to tell you that there is also a product for manufacturers. So for our manufacturers, we have a product created called RELUX Streetcar, and we want just to roughly to show you if you are interested. This is an option to have this street optimization calculation on the website. So this is an option to get street calculation optimizations, so finding the best photometrics on the website, on your website as manufacturer, and on this website, if you click on Streetcar down below, you have also we are on GLDF. We have to click on the Streetcar.
Sorry.
Yeah. And if you go down below, there's also a short video. We will not show you the video now. It's about 2 minutes. We save this 2 minutes, but if you are interested or if you want to have a website running with this street optimization stuff, here you find more information on it.
Okay, so let's take a look to the questions.
Yeah, we are running out of time, and we check if we have got some questions from you, and we are happy to answer.
Oh.
Is the webinar recorded and available? Yes,
it will be.
Good question.
In
YouTube.
On YouTube,
yeah.
and I don't know, today or maybe tomorrow.
Tomorrow you find this seminar, this webinar on YouTube. We have also a website on relux.com. You find in the support area, you find an area somewhere called Fun with Relux, and then you have all the historic Fun with Relux episodes, the past 10, and also an announcement of the future ones if you missed the date.
What does these classes refer to? They refer to they are defined in the EN 30201. So
-1. The values on -2 and which kind of streets to which classes are referred in the 1.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not sure what is the question. So there's a defined reference to the classes, to the values, and also to the environment. But the environment and the situation is covered in part 1, and this is national. And part 2 is European-wide, and define which kind of values you need to these classes.
Is it possible to have custom lighting classes?
So your own illuminance restrictions?
This is a little bit, it don't make sense at the moment to mix luminance and illuminance restrictions in one class together, because this simply means that you have to scale your reflection. So because this is the parameter between illuminance and luminance, and but when you're talking about custom, we know in the beginning when we designed it, we are hopefully say, oh, just one kind of glasses just for all Europe, so it's not necessary to have custom glasses. But now we are working on in one of the future updates, it will be possible that you can design your own classes, but also in the same style. So you have illuminance classes or you have luminance classes. To mix these both physical parameters in one class together is a little bit. It already happens there this time, because for the edge ratio, there we have a luminance class, but this value is depending on illuminance. But it doesn't make sense to have an average value for illuminance and an average value for luminance in the same class, because this is will not make sense in our opinion.
Yeah, the next question doesn't make sense to me. So I go to the next question. This way you find for each individual situation one best choice. In real life, there should be a compromise. There should be an optimization of the type quantity. In worst case, you will have many types, as many situations you have been calculated. Yes, so in a way, of course, this is just a model. For example, street pole, the luminar pole distances in reality is not the same distance. Of course, you have to be a bit flexible and maybe to recalculate certain situations. And we have different possibilities to optimize. It's not just according to type. It's also possible to optimize according tilt angles, and also the height of the poles and so on. There are some multiple way to mix optimization. And of course, in the end, the lighting designer, you has to choose between also way of a couple of other situations and also product related stuff. So it's not just about, we can here just deal with photometrics and find the best photometrics with the right positionings for it.
So the next is, how are the points on the, I guess you mean this is points.
How are the points on the roundabout? So the grid points on the roundabout.
Yes, there is, we have two styles of the grid. One is radial and the, it's just on circles.
On circles, so the grid points are on circles in the roundabout. Not as in grid.
Not as, both is possible, but
so it's possible to choose between both?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, can you please repeat how to put this special calculate surface aligned with the AutoCAD drawing? No, sorry, there's not enough time to do it. You can just simply import any CID drawing or PDF or background.
Yes, he means that this general road, you have just to make as an input, you make 2 clicks or more clicks. One, you click, then you have a polyline, then you press the enter button, return, okay. then you move the mouse to give the width, the width of the measuring area.
Length, click with click.
Click. So it's very, very simple.
You will find out.
You will find it out.
Give it a try. How to become partner with RELUX with customized neon signs. Neon signs?
So please contact our sales department and discuss this. So they will discuss this with you and talking about such points. We don't understand correctly what you are meaning with neon signs, but it sounds interesting. So please contact us over support@relux.com.
You mean commercial stuff that you have, self-illuminated commercial signs. Interesting part. Is a bit too much for the session today, but stay in contact. Just contact sales at RELUX or support at RELUX or info at RELUX and tell your wish, and we will give you a reply.
I'm in the UK. Can you tell me a good source to use to research in more detail the regulations governing street lighting? And another good webinar. Thank you.
EN 13201. Okay, you have to buy it from BSI in the UK. So it's not for free. I'm not sure if in your case there are also some publications from LIE and SLL. There are some publications. Maybe there's something about street lighting. I know in Germany there are some for free publications about good street lighting and explaining about the standards. But if you don't find something by Googling, the standards are available. And as we told in the beginning, this is the single point of truth if it comes to how to design a street. And part 1 in UK, I'm sure there is an British standard 13201-1, which is just in British standards, and the European part 2, and this is enough for a good start for lighting design on streets. Good day. What are the considerations one needs to know when moving from M to P4 class in South Africa, where our M class is A class and P class also includes B class? Yeah, worldwide standardization. Yeah. Thanks for this. This means we're missing an ISO standard for streets for South Africa. It's about we have the distance. So in Europe, we have a fixed angle of an observer looking on the street, and this angle has a tolerance, and this says, okay, the luminance in an area of 60 to 120 meter counts, and also it's about the surface. So if you can apply to an R table, this also means you have to switch to an illumination system. In short words, these are the two criteria I have in mind.
Yes, but
about observer.
Also, if I also maybe it will be interesting for her to see this table, this consideration table, which we are using in this, so that you can look in. I have this M classes, and then you have ways to find out which is the corresponding P class, for example.
But the question is how this table was created.
This is comparable. This table is to find out comparable brightness situations for the classes. So hard to say.
Yeah. So
okay, something totally different. How can I import a 3D model from CAD that is all in solid, not in polyphase? You need our plugin RELUX CAD for AutoCAD, and you need AutoCAD. So, and with our plugin, you can directly also copy over the clipboard solids into RELUX.
Copy and paste from AutoCAD to RELUX Desktop.
To RELUX Desktop. This is possible with our plugin RELUX CAD for AutoCAD. Also, if you have AutoCAD available, you can use AutoCAD functionality to create measures. Is it possible to change a grid for calculation of vertical illuminance in case of pedestrian crossing? In Czech, we have to use grid for calculation, the base of 6.3 and body. At the moment, you have only the two possibilities: the Swiss standard and the German standard. But if this is an important thing for you, please send us the documentation about your requirements in Czech, and we will take a look at it and if it is easy to realize, we will take a look to add in more grids for also other countries.
Should easy to implement if you know what is your grid requirements.
If the basis is very similar to that what is depending on Swiss, I guess it's the same. It's just the style how to set a grid point, so it should not be a big problem. So please feel free to send us to send this to support@relux.com, and also make a remark about our discussion here, and we will take a look into it.
Okay, and I have to say the time is up. So there's a bunch of more questions, but sorry, we have not the time to go into it. Yeah, maybe Klaus finds one last one, if it's an interesting one. It's also hard to read over all of it.
This is a little bit. There are some also from Mr. Lang about more details about optimization. So please feel free to send us such questions about the support, and then we will give you some more detailed answers, which is not possible here at the moment. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for your massive questions. Thanks for your attention. This topic was, I guess, interesting for you. This is good. And
yeah, looking forward to see you next time.
And next time,
Fun of RELUX.
Next time is episode 12 is on the 23rd of June, and it's about CAD, DWG, PDF import. So how to bring drawings, CAD stuff into RELUX. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.